Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today I'm going to give you 7 incredible cologne fragrances for the fall. So let's jump into it. All right, so the time has come. It is finally my favorite season of the year. We have hit fall. The weather is getting a little bit cooler, a little bit more tolerable for yours truly, because I'm not a high heat kind of guy. Love me the fall, and I love me some good fall fragrances. So today I got 7 cologne fragrances for you that are perfect for the fall time. Links are gonna be down in the description if you decide you want to check any of these out. Also have some coupon codes, save yourself $5, 5% off various discounters if you decide you want to shop with them. So let's quit screwing around and let's get into it. All right, kicking things off, going to the house of Fragrance World with Fragrance World's French Avenue Liquid Brun. Now, this is a clone or a twist of the Parfums de Marly Authère, and this might be one of my new favorite pickups recently. This is just such a beautiful fragrance, especially for the fall. Has this nice rich bourbon vanilla that's in there, touches of some praline sweetness, a little bit of spice, some cinnamon and cardamom mixed in there, and then a nice kind of ambroxan musk that works in with this Gaiac wood in the base. Absolutely gorgeous scent DNA on this one. Opens up a little bit on the kind of fresher side, but it has this nice cinnamon, this cardamom that works its way in there, mixing with some orange blossom, so it has that sweet florally touch, a little bit of a softness around the edges. But soon you get that rich bourbon vanilla that comes in, adds a silky, sweet smoothness to it, and it mixes in with this just additional praline note that's almost kind of adds a little bit of kind of a candied almond sort of touch to it, even though that's not a note list in this, but it really gives you that Parfums de Marly style of vibe. But it's mostly about this rich bourbon vanilla with that kiss of that praline in there. And in the base, you get this nice Gaiac wood, has a bit of a musky ambroxan that works its way in as well for that really nice spiced vanilla praline sweetness to sit on top of. And it's just an absolutely gorgeous, sweet, sophisticated, but not overly sweet. Like it's bordering on the gourmand side, but it's just absolutely perfect for the fall time. Performance on this is pretty decent. I get about 6-8 hours worth of longevity off my skin, and projection is moderate for the first hour and a half or so before it does settle back in. If you're looking for that nice, rich vanilla style of fragrance that's pretty similar to the Parfums de Marly Authère, you definitely want to check this one out. That's Fragrance World's French Avenue Liquid Brun. All right, next up, going to the house of Lattafa, and it's Lattafa's The Kingdom for Men. Now this also might be one of my favorite recent pickups. I might say that about a lot of these fragrances in this video. This is a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elixir, and let me tell you, this is a really well put together fragrance from Lattafa. Opens with these nice aromatics, some sage, lavender, and some nice spearmint that's in there, adds a little touch of some sweetness. But just has this really nice kind of clean, fresh sort of style of opening, but with a little bit of kind of a flirty sweetness that works its way in there with that spearmint. As it opens up a little bit more, you get some more earthy notes coming through, some kind of a dry tobacco with some vanillic accords, and you get this nice dry woody style of tonka that starts to form. So the vanillic accords from the vanilla and the benzoin start to form. You get that kind of almost tactile feel from this tonka that forms, and it mixes really well with those aromatics in the top. And in the dry down, you're left with this nice mix of this kind of freshness, this vanillic accord sitting on this dry woody tonka with little kisses of some earthiness coming through. And through, this is just an absolutely beautiful fragrance. Just a compliment grabber, easy to reach for, dumb reach style of fragrance that's just gonna work for you every single time. Performance on this is pretty good. I get about 7-8 hours worth of longevity off my skin and get some on your clothing, and it definitely pushes out beyond that. And projection is pretty good for the first 2 hours before it does settle back in. So bang for your buck, this Lattafa Kingdom is absolutely fantastic and definitely worth checking out. That's Lattafa's The Kingdom for Men. All right, next up, going to the house of Wataniah with Wataniah's Cayenne Classic. Now, this is a clone of Dior Homme Intense, and this, again, one of my favorite pickups recently. Absolutely beautiful scent profile on this. If you're into iris fragrances, if you're into the Dior Homme Intense, you're gonna absolutely love this one. Opens with this Tuscan iris, little touch of some orange in there, so it's like more of a kind of a sweet orange that's in there. Adds a little hint of some citrus as well, but you really get this nice iris that comes through, some vanillic accords, as well as some sandalwood. So it has this really nice texture to it, that really powdery style of iris that comes through. bit of a smooth sandalwood forming the base and little hints of sweetness coming from that vanillic accord. As it opens up a little bit more, that iris rides from that opening right to the dry down, so you're left with that powdery texture from that iris, that bit of sweetness that comes through. But you get more of those woods coming through. Nice rich woods. You get a bit of a fresh, spicy, almost aromatic cedar mixing in with that smooth, creamy sandalwood. Those vanillic accords just give it a little touch. There is a little kiss of some leathers from the mid, but it's really not noticeable. It's really about that iris, those woods, and that vanillic accord that comes through. Just a really elegant, sophisticated, gentlemanly sort of vibe going on to it, but it has that kind of flirty mystique to it at the same point with that powdery texture and that sweetness coming through. Absolutely gorgeous fragrance. Performance on this is pretty good. I get about 7-8 hours worth of longevity, and it does project moderately for the first hour and a half, 2 hours before it really does settle back in. So it's not a monster projector, but it is a decent scent bubble. You're gonna just get whiffs of yourself all day long, and people are gonna love smelling this on you. So if you're into that powdery iris with some vanilla and some rich woods, and you're into the Dior Intense, you might wanna check this one out. That's Wataniah's Cayenne Classic. All right, next up, going to the house of Rayhaan with Rayhaan's Corium. Now, this fragrance is a bit of a sleeper within the Rayhaan line as far as I've seen. There's a lot of other fragrances that get a lot of hype within Rayhaan, and this one seems to not get talked about as much, and it should, because this is a beautiful fall fragrance. Nice mix of some spices, has some chestnut, a little bit of some aromatics, and this nice vanilla and these rich, deep woods that come from with this little kiss of some leather that comes through. It really gives you that Armani Stronger With You leather style of vibe, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So in that opening, you get that nice spice profile coming through, this chestnut, mixing in with a little bit of vanilla from that base. So this chestnut has this nuttiness to it, but it mixes with that vanilla really nice, and that spice just really infuses with that vanilla, giving you kind of that spiced vanilla chestnut sort of vibe, and that little kiss of some leather that comes through, really kind of like a fancy, high-end style of leather, just sitting around the edges. It's not a leather dominant fragrance necessarily, but it just adds that additional character, adding some richness, some luxury to it, if you will. And some of those aromatics just really elevate that spice profile. As you get towards the dry down, you get some really nice auger wood and some gaiac wood that comes through. More of the gaiac wood than the auger wood. It's not like an oudy style of fragrance, just has that little hint of that in the base, just giving kind of a dark richness to it, and works really well with that kind of fancy leather that you get in that base. Just, again, just kind of wraps around the edges of this, and you get that vanilla, those spices mixing in, all fusing with those woods really, really nice. Just gives you a very masculine but sophisticated, gentlemanly sort of vibe, but it has that kind of mysteriousness to it. It has that sexy kind of flirty side to it as well, and it's just an absolutely beautiful fragrance. Performance on this is really good. I get about 8 hours worth of longevity off my skin, get some on my clothing, and it lasts into the next day. And projection on this for the first hour and a half, 2 hours is pretty good, well beyond an arm's length before it does settle back in, and you are left with a nice scent bubble and sillage for more or less the remainder of that fragrance until you get kind of towards the end. So if you're looking for a really nice spiced vanilla with some leather kisses and some nice deep rich woods that is very similar to the Stronger With You leather, you might want to check this one out. That's Rayhaan's Corium. Right, next up, going to the house of Paris Corner, and it's Paris Corner's Nordstag Wheat. Now, this might be one of the most slept on fragrances in my personal opinion. I rarely see people talk about this one, and they should, because this is definitely one of my favorite fall fragrances, because it's a clone or a twist of one of my favorite fragrances of all time, and that's the Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb, but with just a little added twist to it. So in the opening, you get that Spice Bomb style of DNA. You get the pink pepper, black pepper, little touch of some saffron, a little bit of cinnamon. There's really about that pink pepper and that black pepper, some lavender and some bergamot mixed in there. It gives it a little tart, little kiss to it, but it's more about like elevating those spices than anything with those aromatics. But as you get towards the dry down, you get this really nice vanilla that comes through, and that's kind of the twist on the original DNA that I really enjoy. Add some sweetness to it, adds this like smooth, silky style of vanilla. Has little hints of some tobacco, a little kiss of some leather on the edges, some earthiness that's worked in there, but it's really about this spice vanilla profile, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Has this really kind of mysterious, flirty side to it, that masculine profile that you get from those spices, and it's just an overall absolutely gorgeous fragrance. Performance on this is pretty good. I get about 7 hours worth of longevity off my skin, and it does project off fairly well for the first hour and a half before it does settle back in. Compliment monster, just easy to reach for, dumb reach, perfect for date nights, perfect for formal occasions, but you can wear this casually throughout the fall. Absolutely love this fragrance. Definitely think it's worth checking out. That's Paris Corner's Nordstag Wheat. Next up, going to the house of Dumont with Dumont's Bravano Baron. Now, this is more of a hybrid fragrance of two different fragrances, the Parfums de Marly Carlisle as well as the Mancera Red Tobacco. And let me tell you, if you're into kind of sweet, earthy, smoky tobacco style of fragrances, you're definitely going to like this one. Opens up, has a really nice spice profile, nice earthy tobacco that's working its way in there, and this nice sweetness that comes from this Osmanthus, adding this kind of apricot floral sort of touch that mixes in with that tobacco really nice, giving it that kind of sweet tobacco sort of vibe going on to it. And it does have this nice incense that's mixed in there, some vanilla and caramel adding some additional sweetness, and some nice resins in there. So it almost gives it kind of a dark richness to it, bit of a sharpness in some aspects to it, but it forms on this really nice kind of this earthy, smoky, woody style of base with this nice kind of sweet tobacco, little floral touches there, and this incense that just kind of wisps its way around it, forming just an absolutely beautiful fragrance. Little less sweet than the Carlisle in my opinion, and it's not as in your face as the kind of the Mancera Red Tobacco can be. But you're definitely gonna get aspects of both of those fragrances mixed into this one. And like I said, if you're into sweet, resinous, kind of dry, earthy, smoky style of tobacco fragrances, you're definitely going to like this one. And this is a monster performer. I get a 10+ hours worth of longevity off my skin, get some of my clothing that lasts through a wash cycle, and then projects off for 2-3 hours, pretty big before it does settle back in. So people are definitely gonna smell you. You gotta be a little bit easy on the sprays, especially if you're gonna be on the indoors, but through and through, absolutely gorgeous fragrance, performance is fantastic, and definitely worth checking out. That's Dumont's Bravano Baron. All right, last, but certainly not least, going with another Dumont from their Barouge line, and it's Dumont's Barouge Lamicet Oud. Now, this is a clone of the Thameen Carved Oud, and it also has that kind of Tom Ford oud wood sort of vibe going on to it. And this is just an absolutely gorgeous, spicy, woody, almost balsamic style of scent DNA with just a little touch of sweetness just to kind of round things out. Pressurized atomizer. Opens with a really nice, rich, spicy, almost balsamic style of wood combination. You get that auger wood in the top. Not an overly oudy style of fragrance, very woody oudy, mixing in with that Gaiac wood and just an absolutely just bold, gentlemanly, masculine style of spiced woods that comes through with that balsamic touch. Just adds a little bit of a sweetness. There's almost this kind of vanillic touch to it that comes around the edges, kind of that musk that works its way in there. But through and through, you're just getting mostly those spiced woods. But as this opens up and gets towards the dry down, those other woods, like the cedar wood mixes in there, little hints of some earthy patchouli as well, really smooths this out. And this just becomes a very rich, elegant, sort of dark, rich, spicy woods with that balsamic touch to it. And just has a very sophisticated, gentlemanly, sexy, flirty sort of vibe. But it has that mystique that's still there from those spices that are in that initial opening. And it's just absolutely beautiful. The dry down on this is where it's at for me. It's just, like I said, just has this very kind of elegant, rich wood sort of feel going on to it. And it's just absolutely a killer for date nights, formal occasions, but you can definitely wear this, you know, casually, especially for those fall cool days. I think this is a perfect pickup for that. Performance on this is really good. I'm getting 8+ hours worth of longevity off my skin. Again, get some of my clothing and that lasts well into the next day. And projection on this for the first hour and a half, 2 hours does push off beyond an arm's length. People are definitely gonna smell you and does settle into a kind of a nice scent bubble, and you're still getting a good sillage off of it. So absolutely beautiful, rich, woody, spicy, balsamic style of fragrance with just a little kiss of some sweetness to kind of round out the edges. Definitely worth checking out. That's Dumont's Barouge Lamicet Oud. All right, so there you have it. That's 7 incredible cologne fragrances for the fall. But I want to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorite cologne fragrances for the fall time? Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love getting your different recommendations, your hidden gems, different taste and scent profiles. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.